All right, welcome in Powers on Sports Podcast. We're back with you. You hopefully enjoyed our Final Four preview, and welcome back. It's Major League Baseball season kicking off on Thursday all around the country. The World Baseball Classic has just wrapped up. Japan, obviously, if you didn't keep up, Japan beat the United States in the final 3-2. And we are going to talk to Chris Perez, our baseball analyst, about all things World Baseball Classic, spring training, the joys of making a roster, and all the good stuff that goes into heading from spring training back up north to the location of wherever their team is heading. So welcome in, Chris.
Hey, thanks for having me again. It's been a while.
How's your Final Four bracket, man? Blowed up like everybody else?
My team, Miami's made it, but I didn't really fill one out this year. I stopped years ago. Those things are crazy, and this year's been nuts. The games have been amazing, though.
Will there be 58 people come from Miami that go to the Final Four, or they actually get some people to go?
I don't know. It's in a bad, it's in a bad Miami city. If it was in New York or we have a lot of alumni in the North Carolina area too, but you never know. That kind of I've seen the ticket prices. I've just cratered because everybody was expecting Texas to go, but FAU and Miami, they're only like an hour and a half apart, not even. So it's pretty crazy having two of the four teams being that close together in the region.
No doubt.
I don't even think they played each other, honestly. But it's been some good basketball.
Yeah, good for the state of Florida. It's crazy this year. The big teams in Florida, Florida State, Florida, were terrible, and then you got obviously Miami and FAU from the southern part of the state that are taking care of business. So congrats to those guys. They will have a great time at the Final. You ever been to a Final Four?
I have not, and I've actually asked every single person that I could think of if they want to go, because it's the first time Miami's been there, and it's opening day for baseball, which is why we're having this video thing today. And the Astros are home against the White Sox, the defending champions, the Astros. It'd be a great weekend, but I can't find anybody that can go.
All right, let's start off before we get to the MLB stuff. Let's go to the World Baseball Classic. I know you kept up pretty strong. Did I see somewhere on social media? Did you go to one of the games in Miami?
I did not. A lot of my friends did. I have an old teammate that's a coach for the Marlins, and he was able to go. And I actually had another old teammate play for Team Israel. So I was just retweeting some of their stuff. I didn't get to go to.
Okay. I thought I saw a picture of you maybe with a ticket or something, but maybe I saw something wrong. All right, talk about the World Baseball Classic. First off, in general terms of the Classic, if you were in a situation where they asked you to play, would you have been a guy that would have played? I mean, obviously there was a lot of talk around, especially with the pitchers, that they didn't want to pitch in the event and all that stuff. If you were asked, would you have been somebody who would have said, "Hell yeah, sign me up"?
Yeah, in 2013, I was actually supposed to play for Team USA, and I reported to spring training and everything, and then unfortunately, in one of my early outings, my shoulder started feeling different, so we nixed that. But I actually had the jerseys made and everything, so I actually have World Baseball Classic jerseys that I never used. But I definitely absolutely volunteered. I imagine they kind of did it the same way back in 2012. They kind of took a questionnaire of all the players, like who would be interested in stuff, and then they kind of narrowed their pool down. And I was selected to play. I remember being on some conference calls before spring training about what kind of routine it was going to be and stuff, and I was excited. Everybody's in different spots in their careers, obviously. I think a lot of our guys that backed out are either really, really at the end of their careers, like Verlander and Scherzer, or they're getting really close to a big payday and they don't want to risk the injuries, like McClanahan. It's just one of those things. It's kind of, unfortunately, there's no good time to do it. You're not going to pause the regular season to have a 2-week tournament. Hockey, they do that for the Olympics and stuff, because that's, in those sports, those are the major events. Baseball is unique. Like I said, there's really no good time to do it. You're not going to do it at the end of the year when guys are tired and played all year. And unfortunately, because of when it is, it kind of sets the U.S. back. Japan, I think they had I don't know if Shohei and all the stars played, but I think their core team had kind of an exhibition season kind of. And obviously the Latin teams, they always play winter ball, so they're more into the mid-season form. And I think you saw the kind of the restraints that Team USA has, especially on the pitching side. But that all said, I mean, they played great, and you lose to a team like Japan by one run is not nothing not to be ashamed about.
Do you think the American guys, especially the pitchers down the road, will regret not the opportunity to play for their country? Because the Olympic baseball is not nearly the same as Olympic other sports. Um,
Right.
obviously you see all the nationalism and patriotism by all the Dominican countries and all the Asian countries. Do you think that'll be something that the American guys will regret down the road?
Maybe for the younger ones like McClanahan. I think Verlander might have played for Team USA in college. I
Right.
definitely know Scherzer did because I was on his team. When we were in college, we played on Team USA, the national team. Unfortunately US. We do have that pride, but especially for places like the Dominican, like that's their ticket out, right? Like that's their whole goal in life is to become a ball player to get out. And like Mexico, like they compete against the US, and when they beat us, it's a big story. So unfortunately, like I said, we do have that American pride, but I think it's just tempered down a little bit. I
That
don't know.
American green, that
Right.
American green.
That's unfortunate. Well, yeah, I mean that and guys like Verlander and Scherzer and guys that have a lot of innings. I know Wainwright was out there, but he hasn't been on Team USA before. And this is kind of like, he's like, I'm 40 something years old. And there's, I can get hurt just throwing a bullpen. So I might as well go play for USA.
I guess my question would be, Chris, for you, if you're pitching wise, if you're going to pitch 2 or 3 innings in the Grapefruit League on a Tuesday, why not pitch 2 or 3 innings against the Venezuela?
Yeah, no, that's definitely how I would approach it. And also, I mean, it breaks up the spring training monotony. Like, it's
Get your juices flowing a little bit, competitiveness.
Exactly. And but again, like, you never know what guys are dealing with in the off season. It's a long season. Last year was the first like regular, 162, 200, guys weren't on limitations because of COVID or anything. So like, it's the off season's the off season for a reason. You're getting ready for that long 6-7 month stretch.
Yeah.
And guys sometimes deal with stuff, sometimes you don't want to be in those juices flowing kind of situations early in the season and having, getting out of bad mechanics. And then, the rest of your season, you're kind of battling uphill. Actually, I was thinking about that when I was watching Brady Singer in his first outing. Big situation, like, something you're not used to doing in February and March. And you could tell that his body, his mind was going a little faster than his body was. And that's expected in this type of year, this time of year. So hopefully he can go back to his team, get back on his, regular routine and mechanics and have a good season. But yeah, everybody's different. I feel like all our hitters, most of the hitters, I kind of that lineup, I would have liked to have seen Judge in there just to see all the
Right.
monsters there. But this time through, our hitters came through. There's been years past where a lot of hitters backed out or didn't play or were dealing with stuff themselves. So it was good to see a good representation and actually, proud to be an American. You can look around that diamond and you can see all the different cultures that we have just in America. So, they did a good job.
What'd you think of the Shohei and Trout at bat at the end to end it? That was for baseball. If you could ever dial it up, that's exactly the matchup you wanted to dial it up to end the World Baseball Classic.
Oh, I know. Obviously they play on the same team during the season, so that's not going to happen. But I think they couldn't have written a better script. I mean, right. One run game. The only thing better maybe if there was like the winning run on base or something.
Right.
It was bases empty, but still, I mean, and they were, Shohei looked like he was in midseason form, throwing 102 with that slider, and it was great baseball. Good at bat. It's what you wanted to see when these people, whoever made it, the decisions to put the World Baseball Classic together. I'm sure they envisioned a situation one day where you have the best players facing each other with stuff on the line, and it's kind of like if you could see Babe Ruth face Cy Young or something like that. It was. I don't think you'll ever see a matchup like that again until Shohei gets traded or something. But it was good. It was a good matchup. I think it was great for baseball. Unfortunate part is that might be the biggest at bat / pitching inning that Shohei and Trout have this year.
Right.
Like they may have already played their most important game, which is kind of sad because I mean baseball needs those stars in the playoffs, and hopefully the Angels can put something together, but it's kind of a waste of talent when you have two of the best in the world ever. And, you already got them in your lineup. You got them, penciled in as your ace. And usually they're out of it by the All-Star
hitter. You're number 3 and number 4 hitter.
And they're out of it by the All-Star break every year. It's just like, it's crazy.
All right, let's talk about countdown to opening day. Obviously, talk to the audience about, as a player, the last 7 or 8 days until opening day. Just the are you excited? Are you just like, let's get to it? Or what's the mindset of a guy that's an established player on a roster that's going through this last 5 or 6 days till the opening day?
Yeah, you're excited. You're counting down the days for sure. You're starting to lock in more like a regular season game during spring training, trying to get your at bats and also not trying to get hurt. I mean, the last thing you want to do is do something stupid or take a bad swing and hurt yourself and miss opening day. Like it is one of the best days of the season. It's just everybody starts anew. Everybody's 0-0. Nobody's in last place. Nobody's made an error yet. And you always have those great feelings.
Hope.
That's it, right? Hope springs eternal. And it's a fun time of year. You walk into the locker room and you're packing up your stuff, sending stuff on the truck to go up north, and sending this with you and getting family stuff ready. It's a busy time of the year, but it's exciting. Everybody wants to get back to their city and get the season started.
Talk about the excitement of these young guys, the guys we saw yesterday. The Volpe kid for the Yankees got told he was making the roster and going to be starting. Talk about the excitement of when the manager or the GM, however it happened, you tell us how it happens, how they told you, hey, Chris, you're making it. You're going up with the big club.
Unfortunately, my only meetings with the managers was to get sent down. 2008, I knew I wasn't going to make the team out of spring training, so that was pretty easy. But 2009, I had gotten called up halfway through 08 and thought I should make the team out of 09, out of spring training, and I didn't. So it was it's hard to take that kind of news. You work your whole career to try to make a team, and sometimes the business side gets out of it. There was a guy that was out of options and they wanted to see how he started the season. And I had options because I was young. So it's a lot easier for me to go down to AAA and for them to keep the veteran around. But yeah, I mean, for the young guys, that it's a culmination of everything you worked for. You want to call 10 different people at once. You want to call your parents, your coaches, your agent, your spouse or your wife or your girlfriend. Like, it's the most exciting day. Like, you made it. The spring training, you're on, it's big league spring training. It's not the same. It's not the regular season. It's not in your city. So it's the culmination of everything you've worked for. And then, now it starts, right? Now you got to stay. They always say it's easier to get there. It's harder to stay. So, I especially for somebody like Volpe, who I've seen pictures the last couple of days of him when he was like 6 or 7, taking pictures with Jeter. He grew up in New York, a Yankee fan, and it's got to be even that much more special for him. Me, I was just happy to be on a team, and I think I saw 6 opening days. And yeah, like I said, there's nothing better if you're a major league ball player. The grass is always the greenest on opening day, and nobody. It's
talk about the pageantry of just them announcing the whole roster and introducing everybody and all that stuff that goes into opening day.
It's the best. The stadiums are always sold out. All the fans are excited and hopeful, and like I said, their team hasn't lost a game yet, and it's fun. It's kind of a national holiday. They do a good job of bringing in like flyovers and stuff like that, and it's a good time. If you have never been to an opening day as a fan, you definitely should go.
No doubt. All right, talk about the transition of weather, because you've been down here and it's 80 degrees for the last 6-7 weeks, and all of a sudden you fly back to Cleveland or St. Louis and it's 42 and drizzly. Talk about just from readjusting to that, especially as a pitcher. You've been sitting, where you're going to be sitting for 2 or 3 hours before you come in the game. Just talk about that transition of getting used to that again.
I don't think you can get used to it. I mean, like you said, they send us to pretty much a resort for 6, 7, 8 weeks. Every day's 80 with sunshine, and then in Arizona here it's a little hotter, but I mean, and then they send you, for me, the AL Central. Man, you can't hide anywhere. Everywhere is bad weather in April, and you're outside. There's no domes, so you got to do the best you can. Luckily, in the big leagues, it's a lot easier than the minors, because I mean, the stadiums are a little bigger, so you're kind of more insulated in the bullpen. But I think it's a bigger adjustment for the hitters. Pitchers, especially starting pitchers, once you're warmed up and you have a good lather going, like, it's easy to stay warm. The hitters, they're out in the field, especially when it's windy, they're out in the field from standing around for an inning and then they come inside the dugout. Like it's harder for them to keep warm. So I think the advantage early, especially if the weather's bad, is for the pitchers. Especially me, I wasn't a finesse guy. I was more here it is, come and get it. So on the cold days, I would just pretty much challenge the hitters. Don't worry about the spots, just get ahead of them, and they don't want to hit it as much as they don't want to get jammed. They don't want to feel those bees in their hands. So it's a challenge, though. I mean, the worst is precipitation and wind. Like I remember in Chicago early in the year, it's just like it feels like it's sleeting out there, and it's like misty, and it's thick air, and it's just cold, and it's hard. It's definitely a challenge, but the more you go through it, the more you realize that it's not about not about actually making pitches. It's just getting ahead and attacking the hitters and making them beat you.
All right, let's talk about rule changes. Obviously, you and I talked a month or so back about the different rule changes getting implemented. Do you think everybody will be in the flow now? They've been doing it for 5 or 6 weeks. You think everybody's in the flow, or do you think that we're gonna have that first moment, whether it's the first week of the year, where an umpire rings a guy up for not being in the box or issues a ball or whatever the situation is, that really is going to stir up some controversy?
Yeah, I thought they'd be close to midseason form already, but then the other day I just saw somebody threw over for the 3rd time and got a balk called, and I've seen a couple of guys get punched out still. I hope they're ready. I mean, they've had enough time, right? It's not that they've realized they're not going to budge on anything. And
especially in the ninth, especially late in the game, where a guy like you is going to be in the game, taking care of the, having to deal with all that.
I thought there wouldn't be any issues, but I think there is. I think guys are still like, I've seen a couple of highlights where a guy just forgets and he steps and, takes a little walk around the batter's box, and he's not facing the pitcher and the pitcher's not even ready yet, but he's still not ready to hit. So he gets a strike called. I think it's going to happen. Unfortunately, there's going to be a big count that goes, a full count that the guy gets punched out in the 9th or something. I don't know, but there's no reason, there's no excuses, right? They know the rules. They know they're calling it. They're not, they know they're not being lenient with it. Like as soon as that time hits, if you're not there, they're calling it. So, and I've seen it called more on the hitters than I have the pitchers, right? I always said it's the hitter's fault. It's not the pitchers. The pitchers are ready. We want to, get the ball and throw it. So I actually haven't seen any balls called. I've seen only strikes.
Interesting. All right, so you're listening to Powers on Sports podcast. We're talking to Chris Perez, former MLB closer, 2-time All-Star. 7 year, 8 year? How many year career?
7. Yeah.
7. Yeah, 7 in the major leagues. 6 opening days as we're talking about. So we're just previewing opening day and all that kind of good stuff. Let's talk about some injuries. There's a lot of injury issues going on around the league. Big guys. Edwin Diaz got hurt, the closer for the Mets in the World Baseball Classic. Freak injury, wasn't even a pitching deal. It was a celebration deal, which was crazy. Rhys Hoskins for the Phillies blew his ACL out last week. You got Bryce Harper on the mend. Altuve got hit in the World Baseball Classic. Just talk about how these injuries, how important it is to get off to a good start. And when you're missing guys, especially your big guys in your lineup or your pitching staff, how that really hurts you start of the season.
It's all about depth. I mean, unfortunately, baseball, there's going to be injuries all year. Guys, I don't think they're ever 100%, but it's unfortunate to see some freak injuries too. Like Gavin Lux got hurt running the bases.
Right.
It's usually it's pitchers, like, somebody blows out their elbow, or that, that's the most common injuries, but it's been a rash of them. I don't know why. It's just freaky, I guess. And as a team, it's never good to start losing starters before the real games even start. You have your depth chart penciled in, when spring training starts, and you have your just in case guys in the minors, and this guy will get called up just in case this guy gets hurt.
Yeah.
And you don't want to start doing that in spring training. You're gonna have to just, when I was with the Cardinals, I think it was 2009, the spring training, we had 3 or 4 starters hurt. Like Chris Carpenter was hurt. We had like some Mark Mulder was coming back from injury. Like we had some big guys that weren't going to be with us for a while. And I remember having a team meeting. Like they sat us down as a team and said, "Listen, we just need to stay close. We don't need to win every game, but we need to win the games we should win, and we shouldn't give games away. And we need to stay close to the All-Star break. And then these guys are going to come back, and that should give us our push." So teams do have those kind of meetings. And with the Phillies, with Hoskins going down and Harper not being there yet, There's a tendency to maybe for the other guys to start to press a little bit and try to do too much. And, maybe they sit them down and say, listen, we have a good pitching staff. Let's play some good defense, pitch, and wait till these guys get back and stay in this thing. Teams do that. You have to have goals. You have to know how your team's going.
I was going to say, what's the for as a player, probably 2 or 3 weeks into spring, hey, we got a pretty good team here, or hey, we might struggle here. How does the management or the manager, how important is that for you as a player, for the manager to tell you, hey, this is where we're at. This is where I think we really can go, and be honest with you guys.
It's real important, especially when you have a veteran team. It's not as important when you have a younger team. Like I said, guys might start pressing now. Whoever's going to step in for Gavin Lux might feel like he has to do what Gavin Lux does, when in reality, all you have to do is, play good defense, and whatever you do offensively will help us. It's really important to make sure guys know the expectations, because especially when you're first getting, your feet wet in the big leagues, like your expectation, you might have been the man in AA and AAA.
Right.
You might have been the number 3 hitter. Everybody pitches you differently, and now you're hitting 8th or 9th, and you're asked to sack bunt. You're asked to move runners around. Like, your game's going to be different. So it's good. The more communication, the better. That's how I feel. Like I said, the veterans, they kind of, it's just like another day, right? Like, all right, so we have a couple injuries. I'm going to still do my job. It's not going to affect the bullpen because Rhys Hoskins is hurt. It's not going to affect the starting pitching because Rhys Hoskins is hurt. So just do your jobs. And like I said, maybe a little more, focus on the small things. Like, instead of, clubbing people to death, maybe we should move runners along. Maybe we should sack bunt a little more. I don't know if any one game it makes a difference, but over the course of 2 or 3 months, you always want your guys, they're starters for a reason.
That's right. Talk about, do you think the new rules are going to open up the game a little bit more, hit and run, stealing, sacrifice bunting, things like that, as opposed to trying to hit the 3-run homer all day long?
I do. And I think you've seen that in spring training with the numbers. There's been more singles hit. There's been more, the game's going quicker, obviously, but yeah, I think, first to thirds, starting them runner a lot more, because, it creates holes, right? Baseball's been around for, decades, 100 years. It's only been the last 3 or 4 or 5 where the shifts have been in place. So I think you're going to see a lot more hit and runs, especially in the bottom of the order, just to get things going.
Yeah.
They said there's going to be a lot more steals. I don't know. Guys seem to get hurt. Guys, I know they all wear those oven mitts on their hands now for, not breaking their fingers and stuff. But, you steal 50, 60 bags a year and going down on those slides 50, 60 times a year. That's 50, 60 chances of jamming your wrist, or, I don't know if
or whatever.
Right. I don't know if the Dodgers want Mookie Betts to do that. I don't know if teams want Ronald Acuna to do that. There's going to be some guys for sure, but stealing wise, I don't know if the bigger bases are an incentive. I think it helps to stay on the base when you slide. Obviously, how many times have we seen in the last couple of seasons where a guy slides and he's safe, and then his momentum takes him off and they keep the tag on, and now he's out? Right. Well, the bigger bases, theoretically, you have more surface area to stay on. But yeah, I mean, I like seeing a hitter choose to go the opposite way in a big situation, because he knows the hole's open over there, and it does affect the way pitchers are going to pitch you, because then the last couple of seasons, you have a big lefty up, you just pound them inside, let them pull it. We got 4 guys over there, right? Now there's holes in, let's say there's a guy in first baseman's holding the runner on. Now there's a big hole. Maybe I don't pound him inside. Maybe I pitch him away and I make a mistake and he hits a home run. So it's going back to more normal baseball.
Last question, I'll get you out of here. Talk about the adjustment of spring training. You're pitching in small ballparks, 5,000, 6,000, whatever it is. Now all of a sudden you head to Comiskey Park, or you head to Cleveland, or you head to St. Louis, where it's 55,000 and the sight lines are different. Is that something that affects you guys as pitchers at all?
I mean, we're all human. So yeah, I mean, there's more adrenaline, there's more heart beating. But the more you do it, obviously the easier it is for you to focus more and to execute. When you're young, your heart's beating, and that's why you play, right? That's why you're playing at the biggest stage. And early in the year, I always put a lot of pressure on myself, especially as a closer. The worst thing for a team is to get off to a good start, everywhere else except the bullpen. You don't want to have that lingering doubt for the rest of the year. Like, oh, is 3 runs enough? Is 4 runs enough? Like, our bullpen's been blowing stuff left and right. And as the closer, my job's to nail down the wins. So the worst, I always put a huge amount of pressure on myself early in the season to get off to a good start, to get the team off to a good start. And unfortunately, sometimes it didn't work out. But
you were pretty good, man. You were pretty good.
But I did blow a couple opening day saves, and I guess it was just giving myself goals. I think one year I had like a 54 ERA after my first outing, and I was like, all right, now I go to work. Now I have to bring that thing down. So, I think everybody puts that pressure on himself. I don't care if you're a 24-year veteran like Pujols, or if you're a rookie making your first team. Everybody wants to get off to a good start. Everybody wants to get their first hit out of the way, get their first strikeout out of the way. If you're a starter, you want to get your first good start out of the way. And sometimes, unfortunately, that's what happens when you're in the arena, right? When you're on the stage, you're either going to perform or you're not. So
that's right.
But that's why we play the game.
Sports, man. That's why it's sports.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, we'll get you out of here. Give me a couple teams in each league that you like. One, give me a sleeper team in each league that you like first. Start with.
Sleepers. I don't know if they're sleepers, but I think the Orioles are going to be better than they seem to be everybody's kind of pick. They do have some talent this year. I think they could make a run if they want, or if they stay healthy, not if they want. The Rays are going to be good. What else?
Team like the Cubs. A lot of people think the Cubs could be a little bit better.
I don't think they have enough pitching. Their offense looks good. They do have some guys that if they come back to their career norms, they could be Bellinger. I know they got Bellinger over there now. I still like the Astros, even though with their injuries and everything. Their starting staff 1 through 5 is pretty formidable. The Mets, I think, might be a disappointment this year. They're already off to a bad start, losing Diaz.
Yeah.
Their 2 horses are horses, but they're also getting up there in age, and you never know. An injury here, an injury there. The Braves look loaded. I know that's not a shocker. I think everybody's picking them to have the best record in the NL. All the projections and stuff. Braves look loaded. They have depth. They have guys in the minors. They have 6 or 7 starting options in the rotation. They have young position players. They have some veterans thrown in there. That they look like they have every box checked.
Will Ohtani finish the year with the Angels?
I'd say yes. I honestly don't see a team that has anything that could trade for him, really. Okay. I mean, do you see a team giving up a top pitching prospect and the top hitting prospect? Like that's what it's going to take to start the conversation. And I don't really see not even like their top prospect, like top prospects in baseball.
Yeah, right.
I just don't see teams that have that much talent that are willing to get rid of it. Like the Rays might have that much talent, but are they going to trade for an Ohtani and sign him? No. Right. So his market's kind of limited, honestly.
Probably Mets, Mets, Yankees, Dodgers are probably the 3 teams, really.
That's about it, right? I mean, that's not a big market if you're, going into a free agent year and wanting everybody to sign you. That's not to say every team doesn't want him. It's just, there's only a handful of teams that can actually afford him and where it makes sense. MLB baseball is trying to make the Angels as competitive as they can be, but I just don't see it in their cards again this year. I know their rotation's a little better. They got Sandoval, who's a good starter, and Ohtani, obviously. But I just don't see him winning the West again. I don't, and it's unfortunate because they have 2 of the generational talents.
It's great. It's crazy.
I see them trading Trout before I see them trading Ohtani.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. Well, Chris Perez, appreciate it, man. We will definitely check back in with you as we move through the baseball season. And hopefully you can find a mate to jump on the plane and go to Houston this weekend, man.
I'm hoping. Yeah, if anybody hears this, they want to go, let me know. I'm in. Thanks for having me.
You got it, Chris. All right, we'll talk soon, buddy. Thanks.
All right, bye.